and we just want to share it. There we go. It pops up there. Says mastering finances. Moving to the 9711. We'll try and make it a bit bigger for the viewers, I think. There we go. Nice. I think that's come up.
So with this one, I can sort of relate this to when I was reading this book called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's where I can take some frames of reference from there, because what this does is, no matter how you're doing it hard, you can still manage your budget in a structured way, where you have to make sure that everything has got its place. Like with the first one, the 97111, 97 is for the expenses, right? Because you're doing it tough, but you still have to have something for your savings and something for your investments and something to pay down some of your debts. So once you have that drilled in or tattooed in your habits, you can start to improve from there, because 1% will not be painful. Like, for example, let's say, just for example's sake, you are earning $1,000. What's 1% of $1,000? That's about $10.
Yeah, $10.
So you put $10 away and never look at it. That's your savings.
I think
$10. Go for it.
I think it also alludes to that other book which we read or we commented together about Profit First, where he talks about profit first. So it's like a profit first model where you can put your 1% into like your profit, your savings, as the Medium article says here, putting it into savings. We'll go back into that article. 1% for savings, 1% for debt reduction, and then 1% for investments. So as Joe, you said that if you earn $1,000 a week, you're putting $10. Yes, it may be a small amount, but it's about creating the mentality of setting aside something, even if the financial circumstances are extreme. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like you say, it's creating that mentality or that habit. Once that habit becomes second nature to you, you can start to now snowball it. Now, when you start earning, let's say, for example, 1.5, or when some of your expenses, you're managing them, well, you can start to snowball until maybe you get to the 70, 20, and then you can distribute it like that.
Yeah. But as I said, as they said, how do you get to that? Because you put yourself in that financial predicament. How do you get yourself there?
To the 70% expense level, or to so there are ways to do that. So you can either reduce your expenses.
Yeah.
If there are things that you can cut down to, like, for example, going to buy brand, things that are not of a good brand, but basic brands, or cheaper stuff. For you, you've got that. You remember when we were talking the other time, when you were saying, was it like 1,000 days of sacrifice?
Or 10 years of sacrifice.
10 years of sacrifice, but in this case, let's say 1,000 days, which is 3 years of sacrifice of eating. Like here in Australia, there's what we call home brand. which is the lowest brand of things that you can get in Woolies, right? So if you get home brand for the next 3 years, no fancy brands. If you're getting your joggers or your jumpers, get is it called Anchor, which is the lowest brand in Kmart, and then use up to 70% of your earnings, and then you can now expand your savings to 10%, and then your debt reduction to 10%, your investment to 10%. But on the flip side, if you want to maintain the lifestyle, now your second option will be to increase your income potential, your revenue potential. So
But I think let's touch base on that one, on raising your income potential. I think this is where a lot of people, yes, you do say, I'll hold on to the 9711 model, but I think increasing your income potential is very, very important to raise it to another level. Then it helps you transition to these places where they are talking about here.
So how do you avoid the danger of when you raise your income, you raise your expenses?
Sorry, we'll come back to that article. We'll come back to that. No, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, when you raise your income, your expenses also increases because you are now at a higher bracket, and you want to have things of a higher bracket. When you were eating home brand, now you want to eat a one-on-one or the big brand stuff.
Okay. Yeah, but as I said, once you've got that implementation model, what I'm saying is that in the 9711 model, right?
Yeah.
Once you've got that perception of just continually saving, right? Even if your income increases, if you just say, look, let's say your income increases to 10,000.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, would recommend people to go to the 70-10-10. But if you're already on the 97-1-1, you're still saving 1% of your $10,000 income.
Yes.
Which means you've increased your savings from $10 to, what is it? $100.
Well, that's $100, yes. Yeah, but now due to the that theory of diminishing returns, like on the flip side, we can say diminishing expenditures. So at 10,000, you can no longer spend 9,700 on your groceries, right? If your expenses at 1,000 were $970, if you don't increase your expenses, but your revenue increases, you are left, let's say, for example, you jump from 1,000 to 10,000, and then you maintain your expenses at 750, at 970. Now you've got a 9,030 to play with.
And then now, that's where good financial management now needs to come in. I'm not disputing what you're saying, that you shouldn't raise your expenses. You still maintain your expenses on that level. Then, of course, now those percentages start to increase. Because here in the article here, they say your expenses should start to increase to a particular level. We'll get that up. I think there's just an issue with the recording, with the sharing of the screen, but we'll get that up. They start to say that you need to increase the percentages from debt. Your debt, maybe whether it was 1%, your debt repayment as a percentage goes up to maybe 5%. and then your savings goes up to 5%. So you always just try and increase those percentages. But for other people, they may want to just see cash in their hand rather than locking them into certain savings account. Other people might want to put cash in their mattress. What do you do with those people?
So that's where you need that habitual change, where you can lock up the emergency funds, right, on the side, and then only have enough cash for your day-to-day stuff, rather than holding loads of cash. You don't use that cash, right? If you're not using it, why not saving it to get a bit of interest on it? Or why not invest in it in things that are quite stable? If you are scared of losing, you can go.
You've taken the words out of my mouth, because you can invest in index stocks. There's no guarantee those index stocks. Yes, there might be a track record. Big up to Minority Mindset, who was talking about these ETFs to say in the last 10 previous history does not indicate what's going to happen in the future, right? So what guarantee do people have to say, if I put my money in a particular fund or particular bank, we won't have a 2008 crisis? I would rather keep my cash. Then obviously you've got people, advisors, people who are loudmouths, who says that keeping cash